Have you ever paused to wonder if the life you're living is truly aligned with your soul's purpose, or if it's just a reflection of the world's expectations? What if the very things you cherish, your status, your beauty, your material success, are the barriers keeping you from true salvation? Today, on Eternal Bible Stories, we bring you the powerful story of Rebecca, a woman who thought she had it all: wealth, admiration, and the perfect outward image. But her unexpected encounter with divine judgment revealed a startling truth. Her devotion to appearances had hidden her true self, even from God. This is a story not just of loss, but of redemption and transformation. It's a message for anyone who's ever struggled with pride, vanity, or the fear of being vulnerable. Stay with us as we explore Rebecca's remarkable journey from a life of illusion to one of purpose and grace. It's a story that will challenge your heart, stir your soul, and remind you of what truly matters. Let's begin. But before we dive in, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when new videos like this are posted. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future reflections that could guide you in your walk with Christ. Let's get started. My name is Rebecca, and for as long as I can remember, I have taken great pride in my appearance. I loved the way people's eyes lit up when they looked at me, admired me, envied me. To me, beauty was more than skin deep. It was a testament to my success, a shield against judgment, and a key to acceptance. Growing up in a small town in Texas, I learned early on that beauty and social status were the quickest ways to earn respect and ultimately love. Over the years, I carefully crafted a life that seemed flawless. I married John, a successful businessman who adored me. We lived in a sprawling villa in a prestigious Dallas neighborhood, the kind of place people dream about. My wardrobe overflowed with designer clothes, each piece more extravagant than the last. Every morning, I stood before the mirror, carefully selecting the perfect outfit: a statement handbag made of Italian leather, sparkling jewelry that caught the light just so, and of course, my signature accessory: oversized, elegant sunglasses. They weren't just a fashion statement, they were my armor. They shielded my eyes, and in doing so, they shielded my soul. I was also a devoted Christian, or so I believed. Every Sunday, John and I attended church, where I made generous donations to parish projects. I felt proud of my contributions and comforted by the idea that I was giving back. In my heart, I believed that my love for luxury and the finer things in life did not conflict with my faith. After all, I wasn't hurting anyone, and I was generous to those in need. What more could God ask of me? Yet deep down, there was something I refused to confront. My relentless pursuit of wealth, beauty, and admiration had quietly eclipsed the purpose of my faith. I thought that calling myself a Christian, attending Mass, and saying my prayers were enough. I told myself that these outward acts demonstrated a heart aligned with righteousness. But the truth I couldn't see was that my heart was entangled in vanity, and I had drifted far from the teachings of Christ. It was a morning like any other. The Texas sun poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows of our villa, bathing the rooms in golden light. I was preparing for a day of shopping in downtown Dallas, already dressed in an elegant white silk suit paired with my favorite Jimmy Choo heels. The sunglasses, Chanel of course, rested atop my head, ready to complete the look with an air of mystery and sophistication. John had left early for a business meeting, leaving me alone in the house. This solitude had become a familiar part of my routine, and I didn't mind it. I turned on the coffee machine, the comforting aroma of fresh brew filling the kitchen as I sat at the table flipping through a glossy fashion magazine. Then, without warning, everything changed. A sharp, searing pain pierced my chest. It was as if a knife had been plunged into me, stealing my breath and locking my body in place. The coffee cup slipped from my hand, shattering on the tiled floor. I tried to stand, but my legs refused to move. My vision blurred, and darkness crept in at the edges. And then the pain stopped. I looked down and saw my body lying motionless on the floor, my eyes staring blankly into nothingness. But I wasn't in my body anymore. I was floating above it, weightless and detached. Panic gripped me as the realization set in. I was dead. I don't know how long I remained in that surreal state, but the next thing I remember was standing in an enormous line. Hundreds, maybe thousands, of people stretched out before and behind me. Some wept openly, others trembled in silence, yet I felt oddly calm. Surely I had nothing to fear. I had lived a good life. I was a Christian, wasn't I? I had been successful, generous and faithful. Heaven awaited me. I was certain of it. As I approached the front of the line, tension filled the air. A magnificent angel stood before a portal of blinding light. His presence was overwhelming, his massive wings radiating power and authority. His piercing gaze seemed to look straight into the core of every soul that passed before him. Without a word, the angel judged each person with a simple gesture. Some were gently guided toward the light of paradise, their faces glowing with relief and joy. Others, however, were not so fortunate. The ground beneath them would open, and they were swallowed into a dark abyss without a single word of explanation. Finally, it was my turn. I stood before the angel, still confident in my righteousness. His gaze fell on me, and for a moment, I felt as though he were weighing every hidden thought, every choice, every motive of my heart. Then, with a single movement of his hand, he indicated my fate. Hell. The ground beneath me opened, and I was plunged into darkness. In panic, I screamed, "Wait! Why? What did I do wrong?" The angel's voice echoed through the void, calm yet thunderous. You hid your soul. Those sunglasses you never took off. They were more than a fashion statement. They were a barrier, a way to conceal who you truly were. The rich and vain clothing you wore told the story of a life lived for appearances, not for substance. You cannot be judged because you never allowed your true self to be seen. You became unjudgeable. His words struck like lightning. In that moment, I realized it wasn't about the clothes or the sunglasses themselves, but what they symbolized. My obsession with appearances, my fear of vulnerability, and my detachment from the authentic faith I claimed to have. I fell faster and faster, an invisible force dragging me into the depths of the abyss. The heat was unbearable, a suffocating fire that burned not just my body, but my very soul. When I hit the bottom, the darkness was alive, thick, suffocating, and filled with despair. Around me rose the sounds of anguish, cries, screams, and wails that seemed to echo endlessly. The ground beneath my feet was hot and pulsing, as though it were alive with the torment of countless souls. Smoke and fire surrounded me, not just consuming the air, but invading my spirit, filling me with a suffocating despair I had never imagined possible. I wandered aimlessly through this hellish realm, surrounded by the lamentations of ruined lives. I saw souls tormented by the choices they had made, each punishment reflecting the sins that had brought them here. Their pain wasn't just physical. It was the agony of regret, the realization of what they had lost. And there I was, Rebecca, a woman who had believed she was righteous, who had built her life on wealth, beauty, and the illusion of faith. I had thought I was living rightly, but in truth, I had lost sight of what it meant to truly follow Christ. As I walked among the suffering souls, the weight of my choices pressed down on me. I realized that all my life I had been chasing admiration and status, hiding behind my sunglasses and designer clothes, rather than living with humility and love. In the darkness, I cried out, "God, is there no mercy for me?" But the only response was the echoes of my own voice, swallowed by the abyss. As I wandered through the suffocating darkness of hell, surrounded by the torment of countless souls, I suddenly saw faces I recognized. My heart froze. These were not strangers, but people I had known. People from my church. Like me, they had believed they were destined for heaven. Their presence here made the weight of my own condemnation even heavier. I approached one of them, trembling. Among the tortured souls was a woman I remembered well. She had always been the epitome of grace and elegance, her every appearance immaculate. Even now, in the midst of this inferno, she still clung to that facade. Sparkling jewelry adorned her neck, and a string of pearls gleamed eerily in the sinister glow of the flames. "Did you end up here too?" I asked her, my voice cracking with desperation. I hoped she could provide some explanation, some comfort that could ease the unbearable anguish. She nodded slowly, her lips curling into a bitter, resigned smile. Her voice was broken and hoarse as she replied, "Yes, and I know exactly why." She continued, her words cutting through the despair like a blade. "I thought I was clever. I lived a life of luxury, hiding behind a perfect image. Every day I wore these sunglasses, not just as an accessory, but as a shield. They hid who I truly was. Even in death, I foolishly believed they would protect me, that they could mask my sins and shield my soul from judgment. But it was all for nothing. Judgment comes for everyone, and there is no escaping it." Her words stunned me. "How can sunglasses do such a thing?" I asked, unable to fully grasp the depth of her confession. The woman laughed, but it was a hollow sound, devoid of joy or hope. "It's not about the glasses themselves," she explained. "It's about what they represent. We lived lives of appearances, hiding behind masks of wealth and perfection. We presented the world with an image of ourselves that was polished, untouchable, but false. The sunglasses, the designer clothes, the jewelry, they were symbols of our lies. We built our lives on superficiality and vanity, and now we are here, paying the price for it." Her words struck me like a punch to the stomach. It was true. Every day of my life had revolved around the image I wanted to project. My faith, even that, had become another part of the performance, a way to appear respectable rather than a genuine connection to God. I had wrapped myself in designer clothes, adorned myself with sparkling jewels, and hid behind sunglasses that I thought made me look elegant and mysterious. But all of it was just a facade, a shield to hide my insecurity, vanity, and lack of humility. With a growing sense of despair, I reached up to remove my sunglasses, as if shedding them could free me from the weight of my sins. but they wouldn't budge. They were stuck to my face as though they had fused with my skin. I pushed and pulled, but they remained, unyielding. The harder I tried, the more I realized the truth. The sunglasses were no longer just a physical object. They had become a part of me, a mark of my corrupted soul. They were the symbol of my vanity, my superficiality, and my obsession with appearances. I fell to my knees, sobbing, as the crushing reality of my life's choices bore down on me. I was a prisoner of my own facade, unable to show my true self, unable to free myself from the false image I had spent my life projecting. Through my tears, I began to pray, my voice trembling with desperation. God, please, I was wrong. I didn't realize how far I had strayed from you. I lived for earthly things, for luxury, beauty, and admiration. But now I see how empty it all was. Please forgive me. I beg you, forgive me. As I knelt on the fiery ground, surrounded by smoke and the anguished cries of the damned, something unexpected happened. The chaos around me seemed to pause. The screams fell silent, and the suffocating heat subsided. For a moment, it was as if the entire world held its breath. Then I felt it, a presence. It was pure, radiant, and warm, like a light that didn't just illuminate the darkness, but pierced straight into my soul. I looked up and saw a figure approaching, walking toward me through the haze. My heart raced as recognition dawned. It was Jesus. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Tears streamed down my face, and my entire being trembled. But his presence was calming, soothing. The light that radiated from him wasn't just physical. It was spiritual. It filled the broken, empty parts of me with peace I had never known. Jesus knelt beside me, his eyes full of compassion. He spoke my name gently, Rebecca. His voice was soft, yet carried an undeniable power. It is never too late for forgiveness, he said, but you must understand this. It is not your outward appearance that leads to salvation. It is not your clothes, your donations, or your attendance at church that bring you closer to God. It is your heart. It is the sincerity with which you live your faith and the love with which you treat others. His words were like balm for my wounded soul, yet they exposed the raw truth of my life. In his presence, I felt naked, not because of what I wore or didn't wear, but because I could no longer hide who I truly was. I realized then that my sunglasses, which I had always considered a symbol of elegance and mystery, were also a barrier. They had been my shield, hiding my flaws and insecurities, but in doing so, they had also hidden my soul from others, from myself, and from God. Jesus gently reached out and touched the sunglasses on my face. For the first time, they came loose, falling away as if they had never been there. I felt a weight lift from me, as though my very soul had been unshackled. Tears flowed freely as I looked into his eyes, filled with love and understanding. In that moment, I saw the truth. Salvation was never about perfection or appearances. It was about humility, repentance, and the willingness to be vulnerable before God. Jesus stood and extended his hand to me. Rebecca, he said, your journey is not over. Take what you have learned and share it with others. Let your life be a testimony to the power of grace and the importance of a sincere heart. As I took his hand, the darkness around me faded, replaced by a light so pure it seemed to embrace me. I woke up, gasping, on the kitchen floor of my villa. The shattered coffee cup lay beside me, but everything else felt different. I felt different. From that day forward, I no longer lived for appearances. I lived for something greater, for the love of God and the sincerity of faith. The sunglasses, once symbols of elegance and power, now felt heavy and suffocating. They had become more than just a barrier between me and the world. They were a barrier between me and my soul, between me and God. Jesus spoke again, his voice tender but filled with authority. The glasses you wear do not simply hide your eyes, Rebecca. They hide your soul. They are a symbol of your attachment to the world, to material things, to vanity. But true beauty, true faith, resides in the heart. You must free yourself from everything that holds you back, everything that distracts you from my light. I tried desperately to remove the sunglasses, clawing at them with trembling hands, but they seemed fused to my face, as though they had become part of me, a physical manifestation of my arrogance and my obsessive need to appear perfect. My fingers trembled as I pulled at them, but they wouldn't budge. Then Jesus stepped closer, his presence radiating peace and reassurance. With infinite tenderness, he placed his hand on my face. "Let me help you," he said softly. With a single, gentle motion, he removed the sunglasses. The relief was immediate. It felt as though a crushing weight had been lifted from my shoulders. I took a deep breath, and for the first time, I felt truly seen. There was nothing left to hide. Jesus looked into my eyes, his gaze filled with love and mercy that pierced through every layer of my being. "Now you can see," he said. "But there is still much to learn. To enter the kingdom of heaven, it is not enough to declare yourself a Christian. You must live a life of humility, compassion, and sincere faith. Luxury, vanity, and material things are distractions. You must focus on what truly matters." His words struck deep. My entire life flashed before me. All the choices I had made, the time I had spent building an image, and the faith I had worn like a badge rather than lived with sincerity. I realized how shallow my understanding of faith had been, how much of my life had revolved around appearances rather than substance. Jesus spoke again, his voice gentle but firm. "Rebecca, today I give you a second chance. You will return to earth, but this time with a new awareness. You have the opportunity to change your life, to live differently, to focus on what truly matters. Remember, it is not designer clothes or material wealth that will bring you closer to God. It is your soul, your faith, and your ability to love and forgive." Tears streamed down my face as I listened, overwhelmed by infinite gratitude. Jesus, knowing all my faults, was offering me, someone so immersed in vanity, a chance to start over. "My Lord," I said with a trembling voice, "I promise I will not return to my old life. I will abandon luxury and vanity. I will focus on what truly matters. Please guide me on the path toward a simpler life filled with faith and love." Jesus smiled, a warmth radiating from him that touched the deepest part of my soul. "It will not be easy, Rebecca. The world you live in is full of temptations, and you will have to fight daily against the desire to return to your old ways. But if you follow me sincerely, you will find the peace you have always sought." With those words, the light around me grew brighter. I felt myself enveloped by its warmth as the scene began to fade. I was ascending, rising from the depths of hell toward the light of life. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying on the kitchen floor, exactly where I had fallen. My body was intact, the pain in my chest gone, but I was no longer the same. John, my husband, stood over me, his face pale with worry. "Rebecca, what happened? You fell. I called an ambulance. Are you okay?" I sat up slowly, feeling as though I had been reborn. I looked at John, seeing him with new eyes. "I'm fine, John. I'm more than fine. But there is something we need to change." John looked confused. "Change what?" "Our life," I said firmly. "It's based on the wrong things. We have lived for luxury, for appearances, but we have never truly cultivated what matters. We need to change." At first, John struggled to understand what I meant. Over the following days, I shared everything with him. My encounter with Jesus, my journey through hell, and the second chance I had been given. Though it was difficult for him to process, he eventually came to see the truth in my words. Together, we made the decision to sell our sprawling house and move into a modest home, one just right for the two of us. We abandoned the life of luxury we had built and began to focus on what truly mattered: our faith, our love for each other, and our spiritual growth. I gave up my designer clothes, my jewelry, and most importantly, my sunglasses. In their place, I found joy in simplicity, dedicating myself to prayer and studying the Bible with a newfound intensity. Years have passed since that experience, and my life has become richer in ways I never imagined. I now feel a deep need to share my story with others. I know there are many people like me, people who believe they are on the right path, because they outwardly declare their faith, but are, in truth, trapped by appearances and materialism. I want them to know that true happiness and peace are not found in the things of this world. The biggest house, the fanciest clothes, the admiration of others, these are fleeting. What truly matters is living a life centered on faith, humility, and love. If I could leave one message, it would be this: do not let appearances deceive you. Declaring yourself a Christian is not enough. True faith requires humility, sacrifice, and a sincere heart. Do not hide your soul behind the dark glasses of vanity. Live a life that honors God in everything you do. Today, John and I live a modest but meaningful life. We are no longer slaves to luxury or the expectations of others. We have found a faith community that supports and inspires us, and every day we strive to live according to the values Jesus taught me that day. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that it's never too late to change. No matter how far you've strayed, you can always turn back to God. You can abandon the things that distance you from Him and embrace a life of true faith and love. And if someone, like me, who is so deeply immersed in vanity, can be saved, then anyone can. Live with faith. Love sincerely. Do not let material things overshadow your soul. True treasure is not of this world, but is found in the kingdom of heaven. Thank you for reading my story. I hope it inspires you to reflect on your own life, to ask yourself whether you are living according to the true teachings of Christ, and to make the changes needed to be a Christian not just in name but also in heart. Faith lived authentically makes life richer than any earthly luxury could ever offer. Heavenly Father, I come before you with a humbled heart, seeking your mercy and guidance. I acknowledge my flaws, my vanity, and the times I have allowed material things and appearances to overshadow my soul. Lord, I ask for your forgiveness for the moments I prioritized the world over your will. Help me, Father, to let go of everything that holds me back from walking in your light. Teach me to live with humility, to love sincerely, and to seek what truly matters. Strengthen me when I am weak, and remind me daily that my worth is not in the things I possess, but in the love you have for me. Renew my heart, Lord, so that it beats in alignment with your will. Guide my steps as I strive to live a life of faith, compassion, and purpose. May I reflect your love in all that I do, and may my actions bring glory to your name. Father, I ask for courage to resist the temptations of the world and to embrace the life you desire for me. Fill me with your peace that surpasses all understanding, so that I may stand firm even in moments of doubt and struggle. Help me to see others through your eyes with kindness and grace, and to serve them with a heart full of love. Thank you for your endless grace and for giving me another chance to walk closer to you. I surrender my life to you, trusting in your wisdom and love. Lead me on the path that leads to your kingdom, where true treasure and eternal peace await. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue sharing these powerful stories and creating a space for open, heartfelt conversations. Click the notification bell so you're always updated when we post new content. Together, let's explore the unseen, celebrate the miraculous, and inspire one another to live with love, faith, and wonder.